I'd like to invite our incense sliders to come forward, please. And we'll be reciting the incense lighting gatha together. It's on page 2 of your chant book. In gratitude, we offer this incense throughout space and time to all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. May it be fragrant as earth herself, reflecting careful efforts, wholehearted awareness, and the fruit of understanding slowly ripening. May we and all beings be companions of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. May we awaken from forgetfulness and realize our true home. Good morning. Nice to see so many people here on a cold day. My name is Kunga Nyima. I'm a senior Dharma teacher here at Temple, a senior monk. And I want to give some courtesy announcements to start off today. If you'd like to go downstairs to take a break, we do have water down there and toys. Sometimes we have children here, so they enjoy that. We do have bathrooms here on the left through the curtain and also downstairs. If at any time during the service you get uncomfortable sitting on a mat or in a chair, there is place downstairs to stretch out. And we do have more chairs in the back if you need to change your position. We invite you to chant together with us. We'll let you know what page on the chant book we're chanting from. Just encourage you to use mindfulness in your chanting. Try to chant loud enough so you can hear yourself, but not so loud that you can drown out your neighbors and you can't be in sync with them. At this time, I'd just like to invite everyone to stand up and greet each other silently with bows. And we'll be doing our first chant is the 3 refuges on page 3 in the chant. I go for refuge to Buddha, my deeply awakened mind, the living source of understanding and compassion, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to Dharma, the path of mindful living, leading to healing, joy, and enlightenment, the way of peace, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to the Sangha, the loving and supportive community of practice, realizing harmony, awareness, and liberation, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I am aware that the 3 jewels are within my heart. I vow to realize them. I vow to practice mindful breathing and smiling, looking deeply into things. I vow to understand living beings and their suffering. I vow to cultivate loving kindness and compassion, and practice joy and equanimity. I vow to offer joy to one person in the morning and to help relieve the grief of one person in the afternoon. I vow to live simply and sanely, content with few possessions, and to keep my body healthy. I vow to let go of all worry and anxiety in order to be light and free. I am aware that I owe so much to my parents, teachers, friends, and all beings. I vow to be worthy of their trust, to practice wholeheartedly, so that understanding and compassion will flower, and I can help living beings be free from their suffering. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. We will now chant the Heart Sutra together, which is on the next page, page 4. Sutra
From the deep practice of prajna, paramita, perceive the emptiness of all five skandhas and deliver all beings from their suffering. O Shariputra, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form. Form is emptiness, emptiness form. The same is true of feeling, thought, impulse, and consciousness. O Shariputra, all dharmas are empty. They are not born nor annihilated. They are not defiled nor immaculate. They do not increase nor decrease. So in emptiness, no form, no feeling, no thought, no impulse, no consciousness. No eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. No form, sound, smell, taste, touch, or objects of mind. No realm of sight. No realm of consciousness. No ignorance, nor extinction of ignorance. No old age and death, nor extinction of them. No suffering, no cause of suffering. No cease from suffering. No path to lead out of suffering, no knowledge, no attainment, no realization, for there is nothing to attain. The Bodhisattva holds on to nothing but prajna, paramita. Therefore the mind is clear of any delusive hindrance. Without hindrance there is no fear. Away from all delusive views, one reaches final nirvana. All Buddhas of past, present, and future, through faith in prajna, paramita, attain to the highest perfect enlightenment. Know then the prajna, paramita, is the great Dharani, the radiant fearless mantra, the utmost supreme mantra, which is capable of allaying all pain. This is true beyond all doubt. Proclaim now the highest wisdom, the prajna, paramita. Gate, gate, para gate, para samgate, bodhisattva. Gate, gate, para gate, para samgate, bodhisattva. Gate, gate, Paragate, Parasamgate, Bodhisattva. Dharma, Prajna,
Morning again. The title of my talk today is Overcoming Hatred with Love. And I want to start out with a quote from Martin Luther King Jr. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only love can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. So this was part of a speech given by Martin Luther King Jr. Called Loving Your Enemies at the Dexter Avenue Baptist Church in Montgomery, Alabama on November 17th, 1957. I wanted to start my talk out that way because it's Martin Luther King Jr. Day tomorrow. Thich Nhat Hanh called Martin Luther King a living bodhisattva when he was still alive. Next quote I have is from the Dharmapada. They were angry with me. They attacked me. They defeated me. They robbed me. Those who dwell on such thoughts will never be free of hatred. They were angry with me. They attacked me. They defeated me. They robbed me. Those who do not dwell on such thoughts will surely be free of hatred. For hatred cannot end hatred. Only love can. This is an unalterable law. So with the recent election, there's a lot of anger and hate in the media. And I thought it would be nice to talk about how we might transform that hate if we feel that. And the Buddha gave very good instructions to us to help do that, to actually transform that hate into love. And the way you do that is by contemplating the three marks of existence. So the three marks of existence are impermanence, suffering, and no self. Today I'm going to talk about all three of these and try and give you some exercises that you could practice yourself to actualize this practice. I want to start with suffering. So suffering is the first noble truth. In the sutras, it's called dukkha, which could mean stress or feeling distressed. Sun Shin talked about it in one of their talks about the squeaky wheel on a shopping cart. This sort of constant discomfort that you have to deal with when you're alive to kind of keep yourself going in the right direction. Another way to think about this is this suffering it's just the feelings of impermanence and no self just popping up in your life on a regular basis. So the first way to utilize suffering as a contemplation and to work on any hate you might be feeling, especially hate you might be feeling for individuals, is to consider that individual's suffering. This can be, really challenging for us because we're used to just ruminating on the suffering that this person we dislike is causing for us or causing for those that we care about. But the Buddha said that everyone suffers. And by thinking about the suffering of those we hate, we are helping ourselves to touch empathy and compassion for them. In December's talk, Ige Su talked about Ebenezer Scrooge from the Christmas story, Christmas Carol. And she mentioned some of the suffering in Scrooge's life told in the story. In the stories, it's the spirit of Christmas past that takes Scrooge back in time to actually see the suffering experienced as a child when he was left at school, during Christmas, all by himself, completely lonely. He was at a boarding school. And that same spirit takes him to a time when he's older as an adult, when he loses a woman he's in love with at the holiday season. So both these things, ended up causing Scrooge to feel a lot of anger and despair around Christmas time. and eventually end up making him this very self-centered, angry person. So what you can do is think about someone right now who you feel strong feelings of dislike for, or maybe even hate for. Imagine if that person might not have had some type of experience in their childhood of loneliness, or some type of experience of lovelessness. And maybe this experience, this trauma, may be creating some of the reason that they act in a certain way now, which you dislike. Another activity you can try, if you may feel like, oh, well, no, this person doesn't have anything in their life that could possibly cause them to suffer now. Nothing from their past, really. They had a good life. You might think about how in the news, maybe in the written news, or in a newscast, or on cable, or in Twitter, are there stories, that talk about this person in a disparaging way? Are there stories that are criticizing this person? Now, can you imagine, it's easy for us to think that maybe all political figures and all celebrities, aren't affected by what's said about them in the media, but think about yourself, if somebody writes something about you, or you hear that somebody's talking about you in a negative way, doesn't that cause you suffering? Wouldn't it be fair to say that these people probably suffer when they read those stories or those items about them that are negative? Sometimes when I think about someone who is causing a lot of suffering, I think that maybe they themselves are having so much suffering that they can't help but let it come out. So you can imagine they're carrying like these two big buckets full of suffering, and they're trying to balance that. And as they're walking around, it's splashing out. The suffering splashing out on other people, and that's causing them suffering. So in this idea, anytime that someone is causing someone else to suffering, it's really kind of a reaching out for help. They just don't realize it. They don't know how else to ask for that support. The second mark of existence that I want to talk about today is impermanence. And usually when the three marks of existence are talked about, they talk about impermanence first, then they talk about the suffering that's caused from impermanence. But today I'm mixing things up a little bit. I want you to think about impermanence and apply that to any feelings of hate or ill will you have in two ways. First way, I want you to think about impermanence as related to the person or idea which you dislike. In Buddhism, we believe that everything is impermanent. Nothing lasts forever. Everything is constantly changing. Some of that changing we can observe, like when we look at photographs of ourselves getting older, we can see how we changed. And some of it's harder to observe. But everything is always changing. Everything living, everything non-living is changing. Even the universe itself, is constantly expanding and contracting. So if you're upset with a particular person, think about this person, they are transforming. They are not a single stable thing. People grow and people mature. So, when you're considering your anger, think about how that person might be changing over time, and think about whether or not your anger is actually seeing who they are today, I guess. So that's the first way of looking at impermanence, to look at what you dislike and how that might actually be changing. We know political situations can change really quickly. I was thinking about how quickly the Syrian government fell. Like all of a sudden, it was gone. And that made me think of the Berlin Wall, how quickly that came down. So things that you can think are really stable and are never going to change can just change in a second, in a heartbeat. The second way to look at impermanence is to look at the impermanence of your own feelings. When did you start to feel hate or dislike for this particular person? Are there other things in your life that you used to hate or dislike and now don't feel that way anymore about them? And ask yourself why that is. And part of the idea behind this contemplation is it takes some of the emotion out of the feeling. And when you start to really think about it, you think about people as changing over time, events changing over time. It can be difficult to identify what exactly you're angry at. If you're angry at someone, are you angry at them at a certain time? Was it when they just did this, or is it ongoing? The more you conceptualize and think about it, I think the easier it is for us to start to feel some compassion and empathy, some understanding for them. Bring our wisdom into it. The third mark of existence that I want to talk about, the last one, is no self. Igesu talked about this last week. She talked about emptiness. So no self can be empty of a permanent, unchanging self. And this fits in right with the impermanence. We're constantly changing, so there's no solid being there that's not changing or transforming as we see them. I don't know how many people are familiar with the show Lost. Lost was just put on Netflix. So my wife and I didn't know anything about Lost before, but now we've sort of become addicted to it, watching it. And what I realized is Lost is all about the backstory. What happened to these people before they got to the island that makes them act the way they do on the island? All the causes and conditions that happened before. And so this idea of no self is really about this same idea. It's about, we are created by causes and conditions of our life. There are so many things in our life that we can't pick, but we react to them and we kind of become the person we are based on them. We can't pick our parents, our grandparents, our great-grandparents. We can't pick where we grow up, what kind of education we receive, who our friends are. We can't pick the, challenging or difficult situations that happen to us in life. And all these things determine our personality, who we grow up to be. And it's ongoing, right? Keeps happening. So this idea of no self, is falling in line with the other two, impermanence and also with suffering. This person or this event that we're hating, it's the result of many different causes and conditions that happened over a long period of time. There's not just this entity who was born a person that we dislike. We're all born as innocent children, right? And just through our experiences that we become who we are. So even this person we hate, when they were born, they were just an innocent baby, and then these causes and conditions of their life, many of which they had no choice over, turned them into the person they are today. So we can't choose a lot of things in our life. Can't choose our parents, education, things like that. But we can choose to meditate. We can choose from this minute forward to kind of move forward with our meditation practice and our awareness practice. And when we're doing that, we're really thinking about the feelings and thoughts that are kind of coming into our mind each moment of our life. So if we're having hateful thoughts, the first practice is going to be just aware of those hateful thoughts. In Buddhism, we can really think of hate as a poisonous emotion because it works against the wisdom of the way life works. Hate wants us to solidify people into an unchanging, permanent reality. Our hate wants to disregard how another person might be suffering, and think they're evil. Our hate disregards how people change over time. In contrast to that, love and wisdom help us to experience life in the way it actually is. If we can appreciate that people are suffering, we can generate empathy and compassion for them. So anytime, we have those thoughts come into our head and maybe they're inspired by something we see on TV or something we see on social media, we can remember, this person I'm disliking so much is also suffering in some way. I may not know how it is, but they are suffering. The second thing we can think about is impermanence. We can remember that this hateful feeling I have for this person is transitory. It's going to disappear. This hateful person themselves is not going to live forever. They are also going to pass on. The same with the situation. And because of that, we can develop equanimity. We can realize that there's good and there's bad in life. There's hate and there's love, and those things change. They're constantly moving up and down, and we can kind of ride those waves. We don't have to be thrown, out of control, out of emotional control, just because something's going on that we don't like. And then the last thing that this wisdom and love can help us appreciate is that everything has no self. Everything is a result of causes and conditions. So this, it's the unique causes and conditions that created this person or this event. By understanding those causes and conditions more, we can help maybe change the event or the other person into something that maybe we feel like is more helpful, more skillful. But really knowing the causes and conditions is the most important part. You can't really make any change unless you really know the situation or the person. So I wanted to finish my talks with some quotes from the Dhammapada. These are from chapter 6, called Patience, in the Way of the Bodhisattva, which our Bodhisattva students are studying right now. Verse 2. No evil is there similar to anger, no austerity to compared with patience. Steep yourself, therefore, in patience in various ways, insistently. So certainly it requires a lot of patience not to just give in to our anger. And all these things I've talked about contemplating today require patience, require you to just kind of sit down and not buy into that emotion of anger that's so easy to feel, especially righteous anger, like, oh yeah, I know I'm still right. Second verse here. Those tormented by the pain of anger never know tranquility of mind. Strangers they will be to every pleasure. They will neither sleep nor feel secure. So it's about that idea that how anger can just like take over your whole life, and affect everything you do, and really just prevent you from experiencing happiness and joy and love and all those other things that are important to life. I am not angry with my bile and other humors, fertile sources of suffering and pain. So why should living beings give offense? They likewise are impelled by circumstances. So he's talking about my bile and other humors, my guts. So he's like, you don't get angry with your stomach when you have a stomach ache. You don't get angry with your head when you have a headache. Why are you getting mad at these other people who are just reacting to conditions? They're not, deciding to act this way. Causes of conditions have compelled them this way. And then these next two verses relate to that idea. If those who are like wanton children are by nature prone to injure others, there's no reason for our rage. It is like resenting fire for being hot. So if someone has experienced so many causes and conditions in their life, they just can't see to act skillfully. Everything they do is unskillful. Well, that's just like an oven being hot. You should recognize that and then use appropriate precautions. But you don't need to get angry all the time just because that is going on. And if their faults are fleeting and contingent, if living beings are by nature mild, it's likewise senseless to resent them, as well as be angry at the sky when it is full of smoke. So on the other hand, if you feel people are basically good and wholesome, and this person's acting in a way that you feel is like unusual, then why get angry at that? This is just like a cloud flowing through a sky. It's not going to last. It's transitory. It's impermanent. So, thank you very much. So let's take an opportunity to practice some meditation. I invite you to get into a comfortable position on your cushion or in your chair. If you're tired of sitting, like because of the talk, sitting there for a long time, please, there's some chairs in the back. Please take a chair if you need to be comfortable. So I invite you to fold your legs in front of you. If you're sitting in a chair, put your feet flat on the floor. Try and sit with a nice straight back. Shoulders back, chin tucked in. And we usually encourage people to start out with awareness of their breathing. If you want to count your breaths, starting with 5, count each out breath down to 1, then start over. And if you feel not that distracted, if you feel pretty concentrated, you can just be aware of your breathing. All right. So we have an opportunity now to share joys and concerns. So if you have a joy or a concern you'd like to share with the Sangha, just put your hand up and we'll bring a microphone over to you. If you could say your name also, that would be nice as well.
Good morning, Sangha. My name is Craig. I'm really grateful to be here. Friday was my birthday. Yay. Thank you. Thank you. And so I went to Disney in concert. And so I'm sitting there. It was an amazing experience. It really was. I'm sitting there and listening to these songs. And like, I've got a girl with me. She's kind of just touching my arm, right? And I'm just sitting there and I start reflecting over my childhood. Like my inner child kind of comes alive. And I think about all the suffering I've endured all this life to be at this beautiful moment where I'm just enjoying these songs. It was super healing. And I look over, she's crying too. And we're both just like crying, enjoying this experience. It was like tears of joy. It was an amazing experience. So I just thought I want to share that.
My name is Shine, and my partner is taking the boards this week, so both a joy and a concern. I'm very excited for her and also nervous like she is.
Good morning, Sangha. I'm Ege Sue. Both a concern and a joy. I'll start with the concern. This time of year is tough for a lot of people. The weather, especially with it getting really cold these next couple of days. It became apparent yesterday when I was at the grocery store. A lot of folks were really stressed, just I think from season, maybe also the upcoming result of the Lions game, but a little bit of everything. And then it brought me back to last year when the heat went out at my house during one of the coldest times of the year. And knowing that this year, just in a couple days from now, it's going to be in the single digits and below, and there's going to be people without heat. There's going to be people without electricity in this area. And so just considering keeping those people in your heart, especially when you're out and about in public, like at the grocery store, at the bank, at the gas station, knowing that there are people that are suffering. And the joy that I'd like to share is, as we were amongst this craziness at the grocery store yesterday, massive emotions. My husband and I are with our two kids, and we're going down one of the aisles, and there's a gentleman there who was in one of those motorized carts. And I didn't catch it, but my husband sees that he's struggling to get an item off of a shelf. And so immediately goes over and says, "Hey, can I help you with that?" And being able to see moments like that people's minds are moving in goodness, it's something that I want to rejoice in, and something I encourage all of you to rejoice in when you do witness it as well. So thank you.
Hi, my name is Ivy. I have a joy and a concern. My joy is that for the past 15 months, over 15 months, many of us have watched atrocities and war crimes take place in Palestine. With the new ceasefire resolution, I feel like a lot of hope and relief. I felt a lot of joy watching the displaced people celebrate in the streets and begin to return to their homes. My concern is the ongoing occupation, and I just want to continue to stand up for oppressed people around the world. And I hope that everybody who is concerned about similar issues keeps their eyes on Palestine in the coming months, as I will be doing. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Sun Shin. I guess I have joys and concerns. I'll do the concerns first. We'll end on a good note. um, just, kind of echoing what Ivy said. I've noticed that we as a culture have been going through a lot of stressful things. A lot of my relationships also have been tough too, I think, with the stress of all of the geopolitical, things going on. Not all of us can, have the same opinions on those things. And that's a really, really hard thing to kind of move through. I do have a really big joy though. I'm going to try not to get too political. As many of you know, the United States government did decide to ban the app TikTok, which went into effect at 10:33, I believe, last night. A few weeks ago, a large group of people on that app decided to, in protest, download an app called Xiaohongshu, which is a Chinese variant of the same app. It started off as a protest against the censorship in America, and something beautiful happened there where upwards of 3 to 4 million people started having these really wonderful exchanges with the Chinese people. Despite both of our governments telling us that we are mortal enemies for the last 80 years, we've had millions and millions of people getting to know each other as people. And I think a lot of the Americans were hit with immense culture shock as they saw how welcoming and kind the people over there are, how their internet culture is so different. There's no such thing as trolls over there, or if somebody's going to make a comment, they say, I mean no harm by this, but I just wanted to say this. And it's, it makes us realize like how we have never shown that same kindness to visitors in our own culture. And the fact that two people can do that despite their governments, to kind of echo the saying that you said, Kunga, at the very beginning by Martin Luther King Jr. I don't know what the answer is to everything going on right now, but I think this is probably the closest thing we've got. And I also wonder if through these exchanges, I wonder how much suffering may have been alleviated, because the next time that I hear the words China in somebody's mouth as a way to try to scare us, I'm not going to think of this ominous shadow in the east. I'm going to think of my friend Fang that I met and I have been talking to for the last few days. I'm going to think of all the beautiful people that I've talked to. There's faces to those people now. And I think that's a very, very huge thing.
I want to share a concern. I have a nephew who's undergoing chemotherapy. He's very young. He's only like 11 years old, 10 or 11 years old. So very difficult for him, and he has to do it for 2 years. So really tough on the family. And the joy, I guess my joy is that we had some severe weather forecast for St. Joe, and my wife was concerned that I wouldn't be able to get up here this morning, but it was clear when I drove up. So hopefully it'll stay clear all day, but it's great to be able to come here and be in person and see everyone and see so many people turned out despite the cold weather. So thank you. Thank you, Ambo, for taking this around.
Good morning, Sangha. Atano Nato here. Joy and concern. So my concern kind of relative to what other people have mentioned, but just my concern of the suffering that's happening in the U.S. and globally with the wildfires in California and all the displacement and people who have died there. And of course, the issues in the Middle East and everywhere. So just I'm holding space for them, keeping them in my thoughts and hoping for things to get better. My joy is that my friend Leah from Germany is visiting the end of September. So it'll be a little over a year since 2 years since I've seen her in person. So I'm really looking forward to that. Thank you.
I'm getting my walk in today. I'm so grateful.
Hi, Sangha. Kind of a weird one, I guess. I wanted to share a concern and a joy. As I'm sure at least some of you know, the film director David Lynch passed this past Thursday. Someone who was very vocal about meditation, vital to suffering and finding our true selves. And I've had a little trouble grappling this weekend with the impermanence of someone who was very vocally for love and peace in the world, while so many other people linger on who are causing abject suffering every day. But I'm very joyful that someone like that existed at all, and that he touched so many lives, and that so many people are going to be joining his family and friends and doing a global meditation at noon tomorrow.
Hello, Sangha. My name is Barb Leon Sue. I have a joy, and that joy is I have turned away from traditional media, and I found that there's a lot of other very positive spaces where we can get good information on what's truly happening. One of those spaces would be called Substack, an app that you can put on your phone. And then they have all kinds of writers now that have gone to writers, artists, chefs that have gone to Substack, and you can get a free subscription from almost all these people, and you can keep up on anything that concerns you or that you have an interest in. So that's my joy, that is available. And also Blue Sky, which has taken the place of Twitter, is a wonderful place if you want to have discourse with other people that are of like mind. It's a very positive space to be also. So those are my joys. Thank you.
Any joys or concerns online?
No, there isn't.
Okay. So we'll take a moment to hold those joys and concerns in our heart. Right, I have announcements for January. We have an online meditation group that meets Wednesdays from 6 to 6:45 p.m. Just contact myself, Kunga Nyima, if you have any like to join. You can just drop in. The link is on the website. We have a Dharma discussion group on Thursdays here at the temple from 9:30 to 11. Contact Reverend Jing Su, Ryan Duffield, if you need more help. That's also just show up here. We have an Avantamsaka Sutra study group that meets Thursdays bi-weekly from 7 to 9 p.m. on Discord. And contact Will Allington or myself for more information. Grand Rapids Buddhist Temple board meeting is this Sunday from 11:30 to 1 p.m. Sangha members are welcome to observe that meeting if you'd like. Introduction to the Seven Limb Practice online meditation group. Ige-su is presenting that from 7:45 to 8:15 p.m. via Zoom from January 2nd through January 30th. There'll be a Dharma talk followed by guided meditation, an accessible introduction to training the mind in the ancient tradition. A winter silent retreat, Saturday, January 25th, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. here at the temple. contact me if you want more information about that. I really encourage everyone to attend that if they can. Also, Igisu was telling me that Nirvana Day is in 2 weeks, so we have a potluck. So 2 Sundays from today, we'll have a potluck here at the temple for that. We have Buddhist-based recovery groups Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Mondays at 6:30 and meditation 7 p.m. meeting at the temple. Wednesday 6:30 at the Allen Club on College Avenue, and Fridays 10:30 a.m. meeting at the temple or join via Zoom. Thank you. Do we have? Oh, so in 2 weeks when we have the potluck, please, if you bring an item, please bring in a vegetarian or vegan item with the ingredients listed on a separate piece of paper so the people who have food allergies or issues might be able to choose what they want. Do we have a Dana announcement for today? Thank you.
Good morning, Sangha. My name is Ellen. The word Dana in our practice means generosity, and that comes in all shapes and sizes. You're exhibiting one of them right now by being very generous with your time sitting with the Sangha, and everyone appreciates that. There are other ways to donate your time and services. One would be running this microphone around periodically, being a greeter, incense lighter, Dana announcer. Okay, just saying. Also, there are times when we need materials here at the temple, and I always use tea bags and toilet paper as an example, but we do have a list downstairs in the dishwashing room on the door thingy that will list items we might need. Also, if you're ever wondering and would like to ask someone in person, Nikki is the one that keeps track of that stuff. There are, of course, no one here at the temple receives a paycheck. Everything that happens here happens because somebody is donating their time, their service, that toilet paper, so on. We do need money, though. I mean, we're not going to lie about that. So we do have Dana boxes here at both ends of the temple. Would take a check or cash whenever. You can do that. Each box also has a QR code. Scan it, takes you directly to PayPal. You can set up a one-time. You can do a one-time donation. You can also set up monthly, and that is changeable anytime you want to do that as well. Also, go to our website, zengr.org. There's a donate button there. Same PayPal thing. And if you're watching from home today on YouTube, there's a drop-down menu there as well that will also take you to donate. Anything you can do to help out around here, just being here is wonderful. So thank you.
We have some meetings after service today, so there'll be a short tea time, just 10 minutes or so. When we finish the closing gathas, if you could please turn your chant books to the front cover, and someone will be going around to collect them for you. Please try and arrange your cushion neatly with the smaller cushion in the center of the larger one, and try and make it in alignment with the other cushions around you so it looks nice and neat when we leave. And please rise, and we'll do our closing gathas. This is on page 6. Wrong, still slack action, ever committed by my knees since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thoughts. Now I atone for them all. Vast is the robe of compassion, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Buddha's teachings for the benefit of all sentient beings. All beings, one body, I vow to liberate. Endless flying passion, I vow to uproot. Dharma gates without number, I vow to penetrate. The great way of Buddha, I vow to attain. Have everyone face the center, bow to each other.
Thank you.